Right as I start the music, you rush out of the room and go poo.
Listen, Mama needed some liquid courage to get through. You know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at tweets criticizing the president for totally unrelated issues while he's asking Congress for their support on combating ISIS.
Yeah.
So that is spectacular. I'm sorry, I just had a little gastric upset over that.
What do you eat?
Oh, look at that, Benghazi. Let's see. Oh, Representative Kevin Brady, Republican. Obamacare's bill for small business, big bucks, fewer jobs. Randy Weber, our energy independence would be farther along if the president would approve the Keystone Pipeline.
That has nothing to do with ISIS.
Who was the Benghazi guy? He was tweeting about Benghazi during...
No.
And you, really?
What?
Really? The first thing you say to me this morning, it looks like Oscar Pistorius is going to walk?
Yes.
Really? Really? Do you think that's appropriate?
That joke is just lying there waiting to be told. Come on.
Oh, milady. That is... All right, yes, he looks like he got off on one count, I guess. I don't understand their system over there with the miladies and the crying.
He could still be sentenced for something else.
Right. He did not intentionally kill his girlfriend.
Right.
Right.
Whatever.
The judge ruled the milady, the aforementioned milady.
Yes.
But he could still be convicted of culpable homicide and other charges. So
right.
We shall see. All right. Oh, and also, what? The NFL did have the tape? Well, that's what the police sources say.
That's right.
They did have the Ray Rice tape, and so somebody is...
You're a lying sack
somebody.
of crap. You're a lying sack of crap. You're a lying, scheming, stinking, nasty sack of liquid crap.
All right, and
Roger Goodell gave an interview to CBS News yesterday morning, and he looks sweaty and nervous, and like Nathan Thurm on
I was just going to say
Saturday Night Live.
He looked like he's been played by John Lovitz.
No,
wait, not John
Martin
Lovitz.
Short.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not the one who's being defensive. You're the one who's being defensive.
Oh dear. I am friends with his brother. I have not put in a call. It might be a tense time.
In the Goodell family.
Yes.
Yes.
Shh. All right. So lots to get to. Obviously. Oh, and I know that you just assume I'm going to be right because I always am. But yes, John McCain was incredibly cranky yesterday. Did you see?
He got in a fight with
Jay Carney.
Jay Carney, who's newly employed by CNN.
Oh God. Yes, I don't know how I could have seen that coming. That John McCain would be angry, cranky, and unhelpful in every way. And whatever the president said was wrong, and it's not enough, and it's too much, and it's too late, and also too soon, and not enough bombing.
I dare say he was colicky.
He was a colicky little baby yesterday. He was a colicky baby.
I find great irony in calling a 108-year-old man a colicky baby.
Yeah, he had a poopy diaper last night. Yes, he did. All right. Okay. So, lots to get to. Let's come right out of the box.
Oh.
You know who's here. Well,
no.
good.
Carl.
You threw me off by going to poop.
Bullfightstrategies.com. Good morning, Carl Frisch.
Good morning.
So let's start with it. What did you think of the big speech?
Well, I mean, it's just it goes to show that it's going to take a number of years to clean up George Bush's mess. And
I thought you were going to say John McCain's poopy diaper.
Well,
right.
I mean that's self-evident.
Same thing. Yes.
I don't know when he started using a cactus as a bar stool, but he needs to get off it.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you with a poo joke. Go ahead, Carl.
I don't know what the president can do to appease his critics here. He's in between a rock and a hard place. I think what is nice in terms of the change between this administration and the last is that he's deliberative and thoughtful.
Thank you.
Anybody who was saying that the threat was imminent to us is full of it.
Well, and I can't even, honestly, I can't even turn the sound up anymore when Dick Cheney is on TV. I mean, really? You're going to talk about why ISIS exists? ISIS exists because you started the Iraq War. I mean,
if you wanted to make a cartoon version of the past, you might as well just make Dick Cheney like the evil overlord in some dark lair where he's creating something like ISIS.
Right.
You broke it, and now Obama's got to fix it. But he's going to be more deliberative than you were when you decided just to run in there.
Right. And, I mean, how you can even, honestly, how a booker can even have John McCain on TV again when he was patently wrong about who the moderate rebels were in Syria, to talk about what the president did wrong in Syria, right?
Well, they're hooked. You know, they've got an addiction to having John McCain on. I don't know what he has over them, but he must have something good on the Bookers, because he is, he's been going on the Sunday shows since before television.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he was practicing before there were actual cameras. Here's the president last night. Take a look.
Tonight, with a new Iraqi government in place and following consultations with allies abroad and Congress at home, I can announce that America will lead a broad coalition to roll back this terrorist threat.
Wow, coalition. There's another word that the Bush administration didn't bother with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bush had the coalition of the willing. I am joined by Papua New Guinea and
Wimbaway, as I
the
recall.
Virgin Islands, which I guess are American, but the Virgin Islands.
I always saluted a Wimbaway who stood with us. Yes.
It's still difficult. You know, the other thing that people don't realize is how difficult it made, George Bush made it for future presidents with building coalitions.
Right.
So the president has to work even harder to do that, thanks to George Bush and Dick Cheney.
Yeah. I mean, well, at any rate, I said yesterday before the speech, Carl, it's gotten so predictable and exhausting that, they were criticizing the president before he even gave the speech. As I was saying, they're criticizing him about everything unrelated during the speech. I think it's hard to have a reasoned conversation about anything these days, right, about what we should actually do as Americans.
Anything without being attacked.
What's that?
The right wing is not going to be happy with anything that he says. Right. He could say precisely what they have written as their prepared responses to his statements, and they would still have a problem with it.
Yeah. By the way, so why not? Let's listen to Dick Cheney. See what he thinks. He spoke to Congress before, privately before the president's.
President Obama seems willfully blind to one of the key facts about the post-9/11 security apparatus.
Who's watching
that? It is not
on?
Self-sustaining. Those programs and policies must be kept strong and current.
Right. That was the first thing that my head was going to.
Cheney, it's not self-sustaining.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the guy. The worst national security failure in our history happened on his watch in the homeland, right? And
you're talking about the Bush administration or 9/11?
I'm talking about 9/11. Yes.
Yeah, I think that the more that we indulge Dick Cheney by caring what he thinks, the more power he gets. He's like an evil superhero that way.
That's what Harry Reid said on the Senate floor yesterday.
I think they better be very careful with the advice that they take from Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney is more responsible than anyone else for the worst foreign policy decision in the history of the country, the invasion of Iraq.
So the other big breaking story, and I know sports generally your au revoir.
Oh yes.
Right.
Irv. Although Carl does have season tickets to the Nats.
I don't have season tickets. I just go way too often.
Oh, wow. I see. Because every day you seem to be posting a new Instagram pic.
So obviously, former FBI director Robert Mueller, the what do you call it? Which league am I talking about now? I'm spacing out. The NFL, the NFL brought him in to investigate how they handled this, and I'm going to say, without being paid, they handled it badly.
Well, I mean, I don't know why everybody's giving him such a hard time. He gets $45 million a year. It's a really tough job. He's got lots of things to worry about that have real importance. Certainly, like the color of a jersey, maybe, how tight the pants are going to be.
How racist a name really is.
Multitask on $45 million a year.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Right. Well, obviously somebody's lying here, right? Who is it that they have a tape of somebody at the NFL saying, yes, we got it, and it's awful. It was a female voice, and it was at an NFL office. So, somebody clearly is lying, right?
Yeah, I think the NFL's lying. The NFL it's a racket. Most professional sports in this country are to some degree a racket. Congress protects them from antitrust so they can have a monopoly. And they go out of their way, to be bad for consumers, let alone bad for women as this is. and certainly the wrong message. I mean, there are cities in this country that have blackouts of games if the games don't sell out. So if you're a fan and you happen to be of modest means, you can't watch a game of your local team in some places if the stadium doesn't sell out. And the last time I checked, tickets to a football game were really expensive. So people can't bring their families. And then you add in the judgment around these types of things. This is not the first scandal to happen with the NFL when it comes to this kind of violence or bad behavior by football players. And yet they seem to always respond poorly. They always err on the side of the players and making money as opposed to what's right and what sends a better message.
That's right.
I don't think moms are going to be all too excited about putting their kids in their Pee Wee football uniforms so that they can get concussed and learn that it's okay to beat on women.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get to some good news that I missed while I was on vacation. You tweeted former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell convicted on 11 counts, his wife convicted on 8. Does this mean he won't be a GOP candidate for president?
I can confirm that he will probably still run from jail.
Probably, yes.
Now, when I say I can confirm, I'm just quoting somebody who said that before. I don't actually have any sources that...
Okay. By the way, you also tweeted another case, and the anti-gay crazies still can't say how gay couples marrying make it harder for straight ones to raise kids. # Ninth Circuit. And the good news rolls on.
Well, I mean, if you go back and listen to the Ninth Circuit case, watch the video, it's like the legal version of yakety sax, right? It's the justices chasing the anti-gay people around the building, trying to get straight answers out of them. The thrust of their arguments have boiled down to two things. You need to preserve man and woman marriage from not having gay people in it because it'll make it harder for those couples to stay married and or raise children. But I don't and I can't tell you how that's true. I can't tell you any example, any evidence that would say what it would be like if this was true. So they don't have any, proof for their claims. There's mountains of evidence that would put those claims in dispute. But this is what happens when every bit of the campaign against marriage equality is based on animus towards gay people, and they can't use that as their legal argument anymore. So they're forced into a corner to make stupid claims to judges who aren't buying it.
Yep, absolutely. More importantly, your most important tweet of the week, got a Roku player so I can watch Bill Press Show and Stephanie Miller Show on Free Speech TV on my office TV like the old days on Current. # watching mama.
Hooray!
Goodbye!
Right.
Goodbye.
Of course, forgot Tom Hartman in there, but
yes.
It's nice to see you all on my television in the office again.
Thank you, Carl.
Aw.
You're the smartest, most handsome, romantic man in the world.
Well, yes, that's a fact.
All right. Love you. See you next week.
Have a good one.
There he goes. Bye-bye. By the way, Thursday, Michael Tomasky coming up. Great piece on ISIS, etc. And Jackie Scheckner live in studio, hour number 3, 19 minutes after the hour. It's the Stephanie Miller Show.
You throw cups like double D's?
Yeah, sure. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 24 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number. Michael Tomasky coming up. Our thoughts and yours on the president's speech as we roll along. Mick in Boulder, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Mick.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, I really enjoy your show. You really make the morning.
Thank you.
I get up at Dark 30, and and I got you guys on. So
Zero Dark 30.
Thank you for a great show.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Are you watching us with night goggles on if you get up at 0 Dark 30? Okay, go ahead.
I just called up real quickly here. I just wanted to say I was watching Norah O'Donnell with Roger Goodell yesterday. It seemed like she was sculpting. She started out with Roger. She wound up with Chris Christie. Because what this guy's trying to do is basically march all of the subordinates into prison or losing their jobs, losing their credibility, losing their reputations and all that, and walk away with a nice, clean skirt, just like Chris Christie was doing or is doing with the Bridgegate scandal. I think these guys like to spend a lot of time on the golf course together, kind of comparing notes. The guy, if he's loved by the majority of the NFL owners, right there, that says a lot. in terms of what he's done. He's come down on the players big time. He's turned this game into a tippy-tap game, not addressing things about concussions, which he knew very well 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When he was he became commissioner.
Right.
Of the problem.
And both stories are, all about the almighty dollar, as Carl was saying, don't you think? I mean, whether it's, sweeping domestic violence under the rug, concussions, whatever it is.
That's it. That's a big dollar sign there, right in that NFL shield. That's right in the middle there, that no one sees.
Yep.
And that's what they really care about, and also the machismo of the NFL and all of that. And hey, talk about a war on women. Just one of the symptoms. So,
yeah.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yes.
Stephanie, I have a T-shirt, a dog T-shirt. I'd like to send you and stuff. So if I were to get on your website, contact information.
Hang on, I'm going to put you on hold, and Travis will give you a P.O. box. Okay. Yep. All right. There you go. Thank you, honey.
And go Broncos. He was calling from Boulder.
Right. City by the Bay. Good job. Okay. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
I think the only silver lining in this whole thing is, well, he was talking about the war against women. The calls to domestic violence hotlines have increased by like 85% or something since this tape surfaced. The bad news is, guess why they're lacking funding? Because of the sequester.
Yeah. So
Republicans in Congress who, by the way, didn't sign on to the Violence Against Women Act and cut funding for stuff like that. Hopefully it'll shine a light on that as well.
I hope so.
I always think it's helpful when another wife beater chimes in on what he thinks.
Why? Who? Huh?
I don't think it is a legend. Floyd Mayweather Jr. Says he believes the NFL should have stuck with its original discipline of Ray Rice, meaning the 2-game suspension. Saying the league was overly influenced by that new video.
Oh, my God.
The boxer who has his own domestic abuse issues said, I think there's a lot worse things that go on in other people's households also. It's just not caught on video, if that's safe to say. Right. That's the whole point, is this was caught on...
Right. Oh...
He spent 2 months in a Las Vegas jail in 2012. He still maintains his innocence, of course, even after, you know how it is. So little time, so many lying bitches.
Right.
Even after pleading guilty to reduced domestic abuse charges stemming from his attack on a former girlfriend while their children watched, had Mayweather not taken the plea bargain, he would have gone to trial on felony charges that could have gotten him up to 34 years in prison. He was also named in a civil lawsuit last week by his former fiancée, who said the boxer assaulted her and kept her from leaving his Las Vegas mansion. Mayweather said he has been falsely accused many times.
Of course.
It's so weird. He must just have bad luck.
Yeah.
Running into so many lying, clumsy bitches, obviously. Clumsy, rake-stepping bitches that tend to tumble downstairs on their own and step on rakes
So many door jams,
right?
So little time.
Right? So many lying bitches. Thanks, Floyd, for your thoughts on the whole situation. Appreciate that.
Wow.
Okay, so we will more on all of that. The latest on the Ray Rice situation, the president's speech, much more as we roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Wow, that's so unpredictable. Oscar Pistorius cried, I guess.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He broke down sobs as the judge ruled that he did not intentionally kill his girlfriend. Get me Lisa Bloom. No, I'm just kidding. I don't understand that whole court system.
Yeah.
He could be found guilty of other charges, but that seems like a load of crap to me.
We may have to ask Carlos about that sometime very, very soon.
That's right. Okay. Okay. John in L.A., you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, John.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, I think if there's one industry that does kind of get a pass, it's the entertainment industry in the terms of degradation of women and homosexuals, for that matter. And you
wait a minute. Wait, what now? The entertainment industry gives people...
Alec Baldwin, for instance, I mean, he came out and he wanted to rape that New York writer with his foot, although he thought he would enjoy it because he had said something. And everybody made excuses for him. And when that woman reporter was standing in the street...
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain what you're referring to about Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, he rushed towards that woman who was standing in the street outside his apartment when he was screaming at her that day. You know, how close to domestic violence was that?
Well, if he didn't hit her, it wasn't domestic violence, I guess.
Exactly. And they only get in their face and scream at him. It's not domestic violence, and you can make excuses for him. He's on tape.
Okay, so you're comparing Alec Baldwin yelling at a reporter outside his apartment to a man knocking out his wife?
Pattern of behavior. his pattern of...
So we gave a pass to Alec Baldwin because what he did was completely not the same thing as what Ray Rice did.
Oh, I know it's not the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so then why are you holding them to the same account?
And how about the entire rap industry? Look at Snoop Dogg. He was a pimp. He run women. And look at Jay-Z. I mean, look at the quote.
Oh, I see. You're a whataboutist. So if we say something about Ray Rice being wrong, then it's what about anyone else who's ever disrespected?
Okay. Nobody should get a pass.
We haven't given anybody a pass in entertainment. Not Chris Brown, not anybody who's done the same thing.
You guys make excuses for Alec Baldwin that
he didn't hit a woman.
He didn't hit a woman.
But you don't know what he did just because he's not on tape.
What does it have?
Calling his daughter.
Oh, I see. So let's convict him. Oh, let's call him now and ask him when he stopped beating his wife.
And convict him because we didn't see anything on tape. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard, John.
Well, but okay, so look at the pattern. Okay, let's go to the rap industry.
Oh, okay.
Why is it okay?
No, let's finish talking about when Alec Baldwin stopped beating his wife.
Yeah.
That you didn't see, but it must be because it's not on tape. But he must have. So
yeah, we don't have proof, so let's convict him.
Here in L.A., when O.J. Simpson got away with killing his wife and her boyfriend.
Right. I've said a zillion times O.J. Simpson was guilty.
Yeah.
So what?
My point is, people were cheering in the streets that he got away with it.
Maybe some people, not most people, I think he did it.
Yeah. People they were lining the streets downtown outside the courthouse.
But you're talking about Stephanie Miller. Stephanie Miller was on the air at the time. She was not cheering during the conviction, nor during the chase.
I used to listen to you on KABC, on the Cat Box or the Sandbox. But the thing is, my point is, Stephanie used to have when you used to be on at night.
Right.
I used to listen to you every night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Work.
Well, thank you.
Anyway.
Okay, so then you know that I thought O.J. was guilty from the get-go.
You didn't. Oh, you didn't.
I didn't?
People did not. But you.
Oh, that's a load of horse crap.
Nobody came out against all those people who were cheering for O.J. Simpson getting away with murder.
Okay, first of all, I wasn't on the radio still when he was.
The entertainment industry does a better job of covering up domestic abuse than probably any other.
Well, how does the entertainment industry cover up domestic abuse? There was rampant coverage of O.J.'s domestic abuse before the murder.
Did anybody hear the story of Halle Berry, how she'd been beaten when she first came to Hollywood by a Hollywood star?
No.
You never heard that story?
No.
Okay. All right. I have
great, wonderful.
I've grown tired of you, John. All right.
And
What about that one time? How come somebody covered that up the time Alec Baldwin probably did something we don't know? Okay.
Yeah, he did. His arguments were a little doughy.
Okay. That was my favorite whataboutist ever, I think it's called. Okay. Meanwhile, back in the real world, AP report, police sent NFL the Ray Rice tape in April. Despite the NFL saying all week it had not seen the full video of Ray Rice punching and knocking out his then-fiancée last February, a source told the AP the law enforcement had in fact sent the tape to someone in the league in April. The AP story says the source played a voicemail from April 9th that came from a phone number at the NFL offices in which a female voice says the tape was received, expresses thanks, and says, "You're right, it's terrible." Mm-hmm. The AP report said the source was unauthorized to release the video but shared it unsolicited because they wanted the NFL to have it before deciding on Rice's punishment. In addition, ABC News reported the Ravens knew that the full surveillance video existed. The Rice's lawyers had a copy but never asked to see it. If Goodell saw it and has been lying all week, he likely won't survive the fallout. I'm reading from Yahoo Sports. The NFL responded to the AP report with a basic statement that continued its insistence it had not seen the full video before Monday. Yeah, this just never smelled correct. Oh, by the way, somebody, I think it was one of my Twitter trolls, was like, why didn't you talk about her spitting on him? Why isn't that? Why don't you condemn that? It's like, okay, first of all, the other thing, this is the first time I've seen this. The full video shows Rice spitting on Janae. Mm-hmm. He spit on her, who was then his fiancée, now his wife, once outside the elevator and once inside it. And the AP said when Palmer retaliated, that's when he punched her. When you see her, moving toward him, that's when he punched her. There is still absolutely no reason to cold cock a woman and knock her out. Exactly. Sorry. No matter what she did. Exactly. But but I hadn't read this until now, that That wasn't even true.
Yeah.
He was the one that spit on her. Anyway, and this is the other thing we were saying, and Carlos was talking about this yesterday as well, that a lot of people were just as horrified by his behavior after the punch, that he doesn't even check on her, and then, like, remember we were saying he's just standing there talking to people?
Yeah.
And I knew it. Remember I said this? I'm like, he was already more worried about his story.
Right.
And remember, what did I say yesterday? I said, I bet you, he said, oh, she's drunk or whatever. That's what he said. According to the security staffers at the casino, the source said the first thing he said is, she's intoxicated. She drank too much. I'm just trying to get her to the room. And that's what I said. He was more. You could tell he's more concerned. Like, oh yeah, she's just drunk and fell down. And when she regained consciousness, she said, "How could you do this to me? I'm the mother of your child." Yep. So Anyway, that's exactly what I said. Is like he's more interested in telling these guys, like, oh, crazy bitch, look at her, crazy, clumsy bitch. Oh, yeah, exactly, drunken whore, look at her. I mean, that's what's, just like somebody said yesterday, it's infuriating. It takes a woman to be the first one to hold up her head and go, are you okay?
Yeah.
Oy. Eugene, but maybe that's what you were saying, why some of the guys weren't, because he was telling them, oh, she's just drunk.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if he'd said, I just punched her in the head, somebody might have gone, hey, maybe we should check if she's alive.
Exactly.
Eugene in Memphis, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Eugene.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi, good, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm kind of concerned. At first, the league come out with a 2-game suspension, and then after seeing the video, they suspend Ray Rice indefinitely. Isn't that kind of a double jeopardy? He's being punished twice for the same thing. And also,
well, first of all, these are two separate things. As I've said over and over again, this isn't a private matter. This is a crime, and in my opinion, he should have gone to jail. I mean, that's the first thing.
Well, I certainly agree with that. And also, I'm looking at it in the sense that with the NFL suspending him, not only are you hurting him, but you're more so hurting her, because it's like she's being victimized all over again.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I said yesterday, people should actually stop showing this tape. People have seen it now. We know, it was important to the original story, but I agree.
But even more than that, why take away this man's livelihood?
Because there's a public outcry, and look, you don't have a God-given right to play professional football and that's what's sad is they've only done this when he would become an economic liability because of public outrage, I guess.
Now I kind of think that there's kind of a double standard, because I was a victim of domestic violence myself, and I look at how the system, they treated the person who offended me, and it was nothing to the degree. I never had the victim's rights advocates to come stand behind me. I had to stand there alone, and defend myself against the things that were happening.
Right. But in this case, we have video of the assault.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. But why should it? Why?
Well, look, Bill Maher said this yesterday on TV. He said, he should have gone to prison, but then, he said when he got out, he should have a clean slate. But again, that's up to the NFL if that had happened, if they wanted to rehire him. Bill Maher sort of said what you were saying about, having to pay in perpetuity for your crimes. That's not at least how our criminal justice is set up. But I think there are two separate issues here. This is, again, when somebody, whether it's Dr. Laura or whoever, you don't have a right to a radio show. You don't have a right to an NFL job. I mean, it's there are obviously market forces.
Yeah, Dr. Laura was saying that her right to free speech was taken away. No, she can go and stand out on a corner and
yell
talk
the N-word as many times as you want.
Exactly, absolutely. But she doesn't have a right to the public airwaves.
And also, could I stipulate, she quit her own multi-million-dollar radio career. She did not. Nobody took away her right to free speech. All right, 45 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Maybe every single possible. I think I got them all covered now. I'll find new ones. 1-800-STEPH-1-2, the phone number. 15 minutes after the hour. Michael Tomasky coming up next hour. Talk about the president's speech. All right. And then Jackie Scheckner, live in hour number 3.
Yeah.
All right, Dave in California. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Stephanie. Love your show.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm just, as a man, just totally upset over this Ray Rice situation. After the videotape was released yesterday, I turned over to ESPN to see what those knuckleheads were saying. And they had, on ESPN radio, they had Terry, I forget her last name, from Now. And she was speaking about domestic violence. And then they cut away from her, and the ESPN guys are talking. And overwhelmingly, they say the people in the audience are tired of listening to this, and that it was her fault, and they're backing away from their statements that they made with the 2-game suspension. It's just a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her fault for what reason?
Oh, no, they were blaming it as her fault. I'm not blaming her
right.
as her fault.
Like just saying that she spit on him, and so she caused it. Yeah.
That's right, and that she stayed, and it's just totally absurd, and it's such a male-dominated field, sports in general, that the commentators and the people who were listening to her were tweeting and saying how upset they were that they wasted so much time listening to Terry when she was making perfect sense.
Yeah.
She wasn't coming down on all men. She was coming down on Ray Rice and the NFL for covering up the domestic abuse, which is unspeakable.
Yep, exactly. I was saying, if there can be a silver lining, it has caused a huge spike in calls to domestic violence hotlines. They've seen an 84% increase in phone calls in the 2 days since this video leaked. They normally receive 500, the National Domestic Violence Hotline normally receives 500 to 600 calls a day from domestic violence victims or concerned friends and family, but after the Rice video, they receive over 1,000 phone calls. Numbers continue to climb. On Tuesday, the director said we've had an outpouring of women saying, oh my God, I didn't realize this happened to other people. They thought they were having a life that was very unique to them. Last year, we didn't answer over 77,000 calls due to lack of resources. We don't have the financial resources to bring in more staff, so we're at a place where we're just encouraging advocates to do the best they can. They receive a large portion of their funding from the federal government. The budget was cut because of the sequestration. So, we'll see if Republicans in Congress that voted for that and against the Violence Against Women Act, if they're just going to pay lip service to when stuff like the Ray Rice video surfaces, or whether they're going to do something to help actual women that are in this same situation. Lee in Florida, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Lee.
Hello, good morning, Stephanie. I just wanted to address the caller before the break who was talking about how there's a double standard with men and women in domestic violence. I'm also a male survivor of domestic violence.
Right.
But the thing is
by the way, and I mentioned this, Lee, yesterday, and I'm uncomfortable. Chris knows I'm uncomfortable talking about it. I'm a victim, too, and it was not a man. And so, there's, a lot of us have, and it is this is why I love this woman that, started this hashtag, Why I Stayed. This is an issue that affects, I think, all of us. But anyway, go ahead.
What I was saying is the fact that women get generally, don't get treated as harshly when they're the perpetrators of domestic violence doesn't mean that men shouldn't be treated harshly either. I think everybody, man, woman, gay, straight, should be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah. Well, and like I say, it's an emotional issue, and it was interesting. There's been this woman was interviewed on TV. What's her name here? Beverly Gooden started the hashtag. She said, while some ask how she could possibly defend her husband, others, like Beverly Gooden, a former victim of domestic abuse, fired off tweets listing the many reasons why it took her a year to leave her own abuser, all ending with the hashtag Why I Stayed. They also talk about statistics. I think it takes the average person like 7 attempts to leave, and that's the most dangerous time when a lot of women are killed.
Right.
The hashtag quickly went viral, igniting coast-to-coast conversation on the topic. She said the reason I started the hashtag was to give voice to the people out there who had their voice taken away. And she said the whole main reason why I didn't leave is because I loved him. I loved him. I believed him. I believed him when he said he wouldn't do it again. I trusted him. I was afraid of him. Anyway, so, it's obviously an issue that has caused, and thank God a lot more women are reaching out for help or what their options actually are.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jeff in Asheville. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hey, I first want to point out that I completely agree that the fact that we're talking about this is only a good thing. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But and I do understand the high-profile nature of this particular case. But I want to discuss, or have you discuss, why you think it is that our focus is so heavy on the NFL. This is a criminal justice issue, not a workplace issue. If this guy worked for McDonald's, we wouldn't be fussing McDonald's for, firing him or not firing him from his burger flipping job. So why aren't we calling for the prosecutor's firing or a change in that sort of thing? That's one of our biggest problems, is that we're keeping this in the family. We're letting the family decide whether or not we prosecute, when we've just said people aren't going to even leave their spouse or their family member because of love and because of all kinds of other psychological issues.
And fear. Let's not, I think anyone who watched that press conference with her apologizing for her role in the incident felt like that was another re-victimization.
Apologizing for getting her face in the way of his fist.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of the whole point, is we need, as a criminal justice system, to step in and say, it's not up to you. We do the same thing with children. We'll take children out of the home. So this prosecutor or this agency that decided not to punish him more, I don't care what the NFL does. I understand the high-profile nature of it.
Right.
But I care more about what we failed to do with our criminal justice system in stopping this gentleman and others like him.
Jeff, I agree. We talked to Lisa Bloom about this. I think part of the problem is that, as we were saying, this sort of varies from place to place in terms of how, to what degree they can go forward or prosecute without the woman's cooperation. But you're right. I mean, it really ought to be more uniform, that it doesn't require the woman's cooperation, because it's a crime. No matter. I mean, somebody was saying,
and we can fix that with the Violence Against Women Act.
Right. A lot of people were saying, Jeff, that what if it was a guy in the elevator? I mean, Chris, what if you were in the elevator with him and he punched you out? That's a crime. Yeah. You go to jail for that. Why is there less chance when it's a woman who's in a romantic relationship with the guy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got these teenagers walking down the street punching strangers as a gag, and that's huge. We have a society that's really sincerely concerned about that, and the threat there is so tiny compared to what we suffer within our family units. It's sad.
Yep.
And I think we should focus more on why, like I said, why this guy wasn't prosecuted.
Yep. By the way, so here's Roger Goodell yesterday, the NFL commissioner.
No one in the NFL, to my knowledge, and I've been asked that same question, and the answer to that is no. We were not granted that. We were told that was not something we would have access to. On multiple occasions we asked for it, and multiple occasions we were told no.
All right, so conflicting reports. Yeah. We will continue on the Stephanie Miller Show. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. I know you missed the president's speech live. He did suggest putting ISIL in an elevator with Ray Rice.
Yeah, I didn't watch the speech live last night.
I watched it.
I watched Seems Like Old Times.
Because you needed to know how long it takes to make chicken pepperoni.
Longer than it takes to scrape feet.
Yes. It's our favorite movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Oh, okay. The Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase.
Don't you snap at me. Okay, 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Michael Tomasky coming up at the bottom of the hour to talk about the president's speech. Here's a little taste from last night. President Obama.
It's a terrorist organization, pure and simple. And it has no vision other than the slaughter of all who stand in its way. In a region that has known so much bloodshed, these terrorists are unique in their brutality. They execute captured prisoners. They kill children. They enslave, rape, and force women into marriage. They threatened a religious minority with genocide. And in acts of barbarism, they took the lives of 2 American journalists.
All right. So Michael Tomasky with a great piece, as usual, in the Daily Beast about all of this. First, some love letters. It's our 10-year anniversary this week.
It is.
This is my longest-lasting, healthiest relationship. Oh, okay, I'm back. Here we go. It's all of a theme this morning. Let's see. Let's see who writes this. Oh, Chris in Yankton. It's a little listener comedy.
Okay.
10th anniversary. To whom it may concern, I'm an independent voter who likes to listen to both sides. I just stumbled across your show for the past 10 years. I'd like to congratulate you.
And he was with us from the beginning.
On your anniversary. Even if you liberals missed the point about insert issue here. As a fair-minded doctor, lawyer, serviceman, space astronaut, choose one, I like to listen to what you have to say so I know what the other side is up to. Congratulations again on your anniversary. Yours, etc. I'm a sock puppet. That was Chris in Yankton. Actually, it was not a sock puppet.
He's been with us from the very beginning.
Yes, he has.
From the From the Air America Place blog. Remember?
Yes.
We still have a lot of people who listen to us from that blog.
And he still remains hilarious.
Yes.
As does Joy. Steph, I run a small embroidery shop business near Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh.
I have embroidered a few. Oh, by the way, some people have been listening long enough that Mike was Mike in Raleigh before he was Rocky Mountain Mike.
Well.
I have embroidered a few canvas-type bags, grocery bags, etc. that read, I'm a Stephanie Miller Show whore. And I'd like to send them to you as a donation. You can give them away, give them to the big contributors you take to lunch, auction them off, do whatever you like with them.
Wow.
I've been listening to you guys since right after you came on the air in Sacramento. I will do whatever I can to ensure you stay on the air. Hang in there. Love you guys so much. Joy, I wonder if the whore bags will be here in time for when the whore is here on Friday.
Probably not.
May leave.
I remember being on in Sacramento.
Yes.
There were
I remember being on a lot of places.
There were 2 progressive talk stations there at the time. And we were on with Christine Kraft.
Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Do you refer to the radio business before it was being dragged underwater by the bloated carcass of Rush Limbaugh?
Yep.
Oh, there goes all the sponsors. Okay. It's funny because it's true. Okay. Let's go to Uzma. Am I saying that right? Uzma in Maryland.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, I'm a big fan of your show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my point was about the Ray Rice story that I feel like we live in such a male-centric society that the whole story is about the consequences to Ray Rice's career and Goodell and his competence and whether he should be NFL commissioner. And, my question is the NFL addressing their real failure here, which was not that they didn't punish Ray Rice enough. Their real failure was, did they protect Janae? And
right.
If they fire him, is she going to lose her insurance? Because I know that it was mentioned somewhere that they're getting therapy or trying to get some help. Is she, in their hurry to distance themselves from Ray Rice, are they cutting her off too? Like, are they just abandoning her needs? Because I think they have a responsibility to her now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this woman that started the hashtag, I love what she said. She started the hashtag Why I Stayed.
Yeah.
She said, I'm 4 years removed from leaving, and more than anything, I really want to change the conversation from why did she stay to why did he hit her. And she also said, I thought, some important things. She said, I would hate for this debate to spur women to just precipitously jump up and either confront their abuser or leave without a plan. Number one rule is safety for you and your children. Have a plan and go about that plan. Anyway, it just seems overwhelming, which is why women need to know if you pick up the phone and call the National Domestic Violence Hotline or any of these organizations, they listen and they won't force you, they won't pressure you. Nobody's going to make you give your name. You can just call and help, get help and support. I know people that have worked at Trevor Project, the suicide hotline for gay and lesbian kids, and a lot of times these kids are calling from very red areas, and they're very careful to say, like, in terms of coming out or any of that stuff, if it's safe, if you feel like you're safe. I mean, these issues sometimes are more complicated than than we make them out to be. I mean, in my case, I know I said, if a man ever hit me once, I'd be out the door. Again, I was lucky enough that I also, my parents, I had self-esteem, and I had, they made me believe I could take care of myself. I mean, part of that is about, empowering women and girls economically to go, you can take care of yourself. You don't need to put up with this, for whether, and a lot of reasons, like she said, sometimes it's not even just economic, it's love.
Yep.
And, she says it's a fear of love, and you believe in him, and you believe him he's not going to do it again, and and fear. And she said fear is a big factor. Anyway, another guy quoted in this article, McGraw's wife's foundation, When Georgia Smiled, has created an app called Aspire, which I think this is great, which can be downloaded right to your phone. And with a tap of a button, he explained, sends out messages to 5 or 6 people you've designated that says, I need help, get here now. Even if they're not ready to call the police, they can send a message to their mother or whoever that says, come here, come help me, don't leave me alone. So anyway, that's the other thing that, is great with technology, that women need to know there's other tools out there now to help them get through this situation. McKinley in Chicago, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, McKinley.
Hi, how are you?
Good, go ahead.
My statement was, with this issue coming up with Ray Rice and the whole cry for women empowerment, it's really sad to know that, when women fight back, they're also persecuted. Just to bring attention to the case where the woman fought back against her husband by shooting in the air to scare him away. and she was imprisoned for that.
That's right.
So
Right.
where do you draw the line where, yeah, you can fight back and you should stand up for yourself, and you have all this attention to empowering women, and then when you do take a stand, you're shot down again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's certainly it's another part of
a lot of things need fixing in our criminal justice system.
Yeah. Marianne in Michigan. Hey, Marianne, welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Stephanie. Great show. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, all the comments that are being made about, all the community service that Ray Rice has done, and the players were saying, oh, he's such a nice guy, and the Ravens organization and stuff. There's a lot of times where these individuals, be it male or female, because about 15% of victims are boys, young men, or men, I'm just going to say that there's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde scenario going on, where to their neighbors, the family, everybody else, they're the greatest person in the world. And what goes on behind closed doors a lot of times is a totally different scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
It isn't every single one. I'm not trying to paint the broad brush, but very often that is what happens, and they get the benefit of the doubt because they go, well, she must have done something, or, they must have done something to provoke it, or, whatever, and that just isn't the case.
Well, and I think there are many, many different, variations on this. In my case, it only happened once, and I did leave, but not right away. There is love that's involved. There is, I understood what she meant about, it's the worst night of our life, and I wouldn't want to be judged on the worst night of my life if it is a one-time thing. But generally with domestic violence, it's not, over time. So that's what I mean. I think everybody's situation is different, and I'm just glad that people are talking about it and reaching out about it. Marnie in Columbus. Hello, Marnie.
It's Melanie.
Oh, Melanie. Sorry.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, I've been thinking about the case, and, I think that instead of banning him indefinitely from the NFL, I think that he should be suspended for a year, make him do a lot of volunteer work with domestic violence nonprofits, and then let him come back and make sure that half of his salary that he ever earns in the NFL goes to nonprofit domestic violence organizations.
What? I'm not sure that's legal. I get your point.
Yeah.
I don't think that's...
I don't know, but I think that we're already seeing that more people are calling into domestic violence hotlines.
Yeah.
They don't have enough staff. They don't have the money.
Yes.
And pretty soon this case is going to roll over. We're not going to remember it anymore. They're not going to have the money to keep funding the programs that are benefiting women. So make sure that his salary goes toward benefiting women.
Yeah. Well, look, that'd be something, it'd be great if he suggested that, you know what I mean, if he, at some point, because everybody's saying he's going to come back at some point to the NFL. It's just, that's the problem. There's too much money involved, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so lots to get to. We haven't gotten into the president's speech as much. We will talk to Michael Tomasky about it at the bottom of the hour, and we roll along on the Stephanie Moore Show. The Stephanie Moore Show. 21 minutes after the hour. Jackie Schechner, live in studio, hour number 3. 1-800-STEPH-12. That's interesting. Melissa tweets, burger flippers don't lose a job for abuse because they don't sign a contract agreeing not to behave like a barbarian like Ray Rice did.
That's true.
All right, so lots to get to. Let's go to Sue in Rockville real quick. Hi, Sue.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
The thing that I think people have to remember, and Kirsten Gillibrand spoke very well about this, is it's not the specifics just of this awful case where I do hope actually Ray Rice goes to jail because he assaulted her, and it is a crime as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But the fact that there is this institutionalized tolerance of violence towards women and the blaming of women, so whether it's pro sports, whether it's college campuses, whether it's the military, or as Gillibrand said, in Congress, women make up the majority of this country, and the men that love them, we are the overwhelming majority. We this change by voting for people who will support, laws against domestic violence, who will prosecute and do the things that need.
Right. Well, as Chris said, this is what's in the Violence Against Women Act that Republicans voted against.
Yep. Chris, you are a man who loves women too. That's exactly right.
Well,
and we are the
in some ways
who make this change.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's enough already. It's enough.
Yeah, exactly.
You know the quote Eleanor Roosevelt, though, is famous for saying, because I think it's important for women to remember, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission.
Yep.
So we need to start with our little girls and make sure that they understand that they are valued. They're not being bossy, they're being strong. You know, we have to really be careful from the very beginning. The words we use to define the same behavior in girls and boys needs to be strong and positive.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Sue, as the parenting specialist of the Stephanie Moore Show, we appreciate your...
I love you guys.
I love you.
Aww.
I love you, too. Aw, you dig chicks.
Oh, I dig them so hard.
And they're big bags of sand. Bill in Albany. Hello, Bill.
Hi, I just wanted to commend Chris on not retaliating with violence because of all the violence perpetrated on him, like stapler throwing by his
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that would.
He's a bigger man.
Well, there are also cameras pointed at us, and so it would be caught on tape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is like an elevator in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, except for when the show ends and she's mad at something that he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a button to that little.
There you go.
I would like to stipulate that is just a sound effect. I've never actually thrown a stapler at Chris. All right, go ahead.
Oh, you missed. Okay.
Yes.
Have a great day, guys.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
No, I didn't miss. I think, as we pointed out yesterday, I was an excellent third baseman. I have a good arm. If I wanted to hit you with a stapler, I would.
Oh, I see. You missed me on purpose.
Ever thrown a stapler at you?
You're a lying sack of crap. You're a lying sack of crap. You're a lying, scheming, stinking, nasty sack of liquid crap.
All right, some of the president's speech from last night about ISIL.
I made it clear that
ISIL
we will
says,
hunt down terrorists who threaten our country wherever they are. That means I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria as well as Iraq. This is a core principle of my presidency. If you threaten America, you will find no safe haven.
France, your country.
My country?
Le Boy.
No, Quebec is,
close enough.
Lavoisa is the Quebecois last name.
Oh, okay, sorry. They said they would take part in military action against Islamic State militants in Iraq if necessary, but said any action it takes against the group in Syria would take a different form. They said in Iraq we will take part in military air action if necessary. The situation in Syria is different. Some in the media say France is ready to act in Iraq, but not Syria. No, we must act in both cases, but not with the same modalities, is what he said. The U.S. is obviously building a coalition as we speak. The president again last night.
I have the authority to address the threat from ISIL, but I believe we are strongest as a nation when the president and Congress work together. So I welcome congressional support for this effort in order to show the world that Americans are united in confronting this danger. Across the border in Syria, we have ramped up our military assistance to the Syrian opposition. Tonight I call on Congress again to give us additional authorities and resources to train and equip these fighters.
So as the president was saying, we stand united as Americans and asking for Congress's support, the Republicans were all tweeting criticism, actually about other issues.
Tons of other
Benghazi,
issues.
Obamacare, the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
It's a good time for that. Yeah. The president again last night.
It will not involve American combat troops fighting on foreign soil. This counterterrorism campaign will be waged through a steady, relentless effort to take out ISIL wherever they exist using our air power and our support for partners' forces on the ground. This strategy of taking out terrorists who threaten us while supporting partners on the front lines is one that we have successfully pursued in Yemen and Somalia for years.
I think it's important what we actually do now and not whether the president used the exact right series of words as he's been criticized for in the past. Harry Reid, I love what he said on the Senate floor. He said, there are people in here in Congress who are taking advice from Dick Cheney. I think they better be careful with the advice they take from Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney is more responsible than anyone else for the worst foreign policy decision in the history of the country, the invasion of Iraq. Not only have we lost thousands of American lives, it has destabilized the whole Middle East and created ISIS. So shut your pie hole, Dick Cheney. The president again last night.
Our objective is clear. We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL through a comprehensive and sustained counterterrorism strategy.
Yes, why are you narrowing your eyes?
I don't know. All this speech sounded vaguely familiar.
Familiar.
It sounded bushy.
Okay. All right. I disagree. The president again.
We can't erase every trace of evil from the world, and small groups of killers have the capacity to do great harm. That was the case before 9/11, and that remains true today. And that's why we must remain vigilant as threats emerge. I know many Americans are concerned about these threats. Tonight, I want you to know that the United States of America is meeting them with strength and resolve.
For me, it's bushy because he's going to do this whether he gets authorization from Congress or not.
You know, look, well, we can talk to Tomasky about it in just about a couple of minutes here. But, Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi addressed that. And we talked to Congressman Schiff about this yesterday. This is just not a Congress or a political environment that's ever existed in my lifetime. And they're not going to – they will not do anything that will, I guess, make him look good. They don't even care about what's good for America. I know. If it looks vaguely good for him, they're going to find a way to criticize it. And anyway. 29 minutes after the hour, Michael Tomasky of the Daily Beast next on the Stephanie Miller Show.
You've got a smoky, sexy voice.
Thank you. It is the Stephanie Miller Show, 34 minutes after the hour, 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Jackie Scheckner coming up live in hour 3. Michael Tomasky, well, what a timely piece. How to beat ISIS and Assad. He joins us now. Michael Tomasky, good morning, sir.
Hey there.
Hi there. Well, first of all, what did you think of the speech last night?
It was pretty good as a speech. I thought it could have been a little bit better as a speech or as theater or whatever, but I think the policy he laid out and the goals he laid out are basically the right ones, in my view. It's going to be really hard to do because there's a lot of stuff that is sort of out of his control, but I think it's the right course.
I know you were probably as shocked as I was that John McCain did not seem to be supportive.
Yeah, I was.
Here he is. Take a listen.
Clearly, I do think that the president clearly understands the nature of the threat. He compares ISIS with Yemen and Somalia. Look, ISIS is well-armed, rich. They have a huge control of areas large as the state of Indiana. Obviously, he doesn't understand the nature of the threat.
Your thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, I heard him say that last night to Andrea Mitchell, and I just quickly tweeted, "Oh, McCain, shut up." And usually my little tweets like that get, 10 or 12 retweets, 105 retweets.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, as I guess I've said, if, we wanted a hothead that was going to get us into every war in the world, we would have voted for John McCain. Yeah. And he's been wrong on pretty much every aspect of all of it, including Syria. And I'm not sure why they keep asking him what he thinks the president's doing wrong. But at any rate, let's get to your piece, Michael. You say everyone now, it seems now, is aboard the Let's Get ISIS train, shoveling coal into the engine. You say there are ways to do it and ways not to do it. Of all the ways not to do it, surely the worst would be to ally in any way, shape, or form with Assad, as some allegedly serious people have been suggesting. Talk to me more about that. You talked to the former ambassador to Syria.
Yeah, Robert Ford, who resigned earlier this year because he could no longer defend the administration policies. He wanted the administration to do more to support the Free Syrian Army, which we're now doing as of last night. So Ford was adamant on this point, and I'm happy to say that, based on what I heard, Obama is following that advice, that it would be terrible to bolster in any way, however inadvertently, this monster, this butcher, right?
Well, and you said, he's obviously leaps and bounds ahead of ISIS. He may not be killing Americans and posting videos, but, you said he's responsible for at least 200,000 dead, murdering innocents daily, obviously gassed his own people. So, in terms of if it's a moral scale, right, you say aside from the moral bridge to hell we be crossing, the strategic considerations are nearly as real. You strengthen Assad, you're strengthening Iran and Hezbollah. This is complicated stuff over there in terms of all the alliances, right?
Yeah, it's complicated, and as is always said, there aren't any good choices. There are only a series of difficult choices. But, there are three armies in Syria. There's ISIS, there's Assad's regime, and there's the Free Syrian Army. Now, people disparage the Free Syrian Army, and maybe that's so, but Robert Ford, who knows that area as well as any human being, said, they're 70,000 to 90,000 strong, which is bigger than ISIS. Assad's army is tottering, and while the Free Syrian Army varies from unit to unit, they're actually doing some fighting against ISIS and the regime, and they're holding their ground in some areas. So it's not, in his view, completely hopeless. And of the three, it's obvious that the one we have to bet on, whatever the chances of success, is the Free Syrian Army. And because we need, if we're going to do airstrikes against ISIS to try to take them out, and if we don't want to put soldiers on the ground, which we don't want to do, I think we all agree on that, we need some kind of ground force to support the airstrikes, so that once we've struck ISIS positions around Raqqa or wherever, some ground army can go in there and try to take and hold the ground. We don't want to do that with Assad. We don't want to strengthen him. The Free Syrian Army is the only play.
Yeah, well, you finished by saying we're not going to bomb ISIS off the face of the earth. At best, we're going to hamper the group with airstrikes while hopefully doing what we can to help establish governments in Iraq and Syria that can marginalize its appeal. If we can do that while taking down a genocidal tyrant at the same time, that obviously would be, as you say, I don't know if there's a best case scenario, but it's, yeah.
There are some least bad case scenarios out there, and in terms of Iraq, obviously, it would be the hope that this new prime minister can be a better prime minister than al-Maliki was, and make the Sunni population feel like they have some investment in the new government. And in Syria, the best case scenario, and again, this comes from Robert Ford, not from me, and he's a real expert, is that there are within the Alawite community, that is Assad's sect,
right,
there are a lot of people who are sick to death of Assad, sick of dying for Assad, sick of killing for Assad. It's possible that the moderate Sunnis, the so-called, the comparatively moderate Sunnis, could reach out to those people and try to work with them on setting up some vision of a post-Assad Syrian government. And, it wouldn't be Norway, obviously.
Right.
But it would be better than what they got.
Michael, what's your take on, the president getting congressional authority? Because, it reminds me, of course, that look at the original Syria. He couldn't get, congressional approval on the original Syria. And to me, I still maintain that it was the credible, threat of military action that got him to disarm without the United States firing a shot. I understand they won't give the president credit for anything, but... Yeah. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, he needs Congress for the money. There's no getting around that, to train the Free Syrian Army and so on and so forth. But whether he needs congressional authorization for the airstrikes is a debatable point, and the White House would say, I think, something like, well, it was one thing to go against Assad, who had done nothing to the United States, but ISIS is a clear and present direct threat to the national security interests of the United States, is what they would argue. They would say, they've killed 2 Americans. They hold more Americans hostage. We have Americans all over that region, property and personnel, and they've made threats, on social media and elsewhere that they wanted, to strike the United States someday. So he says, he would say that would give him the authority to go without Congress.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just so hard. I just reflexively, when I hear Dick Cheney say anything, though, right? Because you go, wow, here it is again, this fear mongering. I was listening to Bill Maher talk about this on Chris Matthews yesterday. You just reflexively want to do the opposite of whatever Dick Cheney thinks we should do. And I know that's being reflexively political, but when he talks about ISIS being Obama's fault, you're like, wait a minute, no, you can't move forward without, while misunderstanding the past. That ISIS exists because we invaded Iraq unnecessarily and created it, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually, I decided last week to stop listening to Dick Cheney, so it's not even really clear what he said yesterday.
Yeah.
You just start going la 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 la.
Good choice, Michael.
I cannot hear you. Yeah. Well, Michael, we will obviously talk about this again, but thanks for your quick take on last night and a great piece once again in the Daily Beast.
Always my pleasure.
You too, sir. All right, there he goes. Michael Tomasky. He classes up the joint, doesn't he?
He kind of does.
He really does.
Yeah.
It's a little highbrow, and then we have to go back to lowbrow. Okay, let's go to Nikki in Georgia. Hey, Nikki, welcome. Hello, Nikki.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Oh, hey. I'm going to change the subject back to the domestic violence, if you don't mind. I just wanted to say a little bit.
Sure.
I just wanted to thank you for being so candid about your own experience with domestic violence with another woman. I'm a lesbian as well, and I was in a 3-year relationship that was incredibly brutal, and I had more than one trip to the hospital. And when you said that you had your own experience, I sat here and thought, oh, my God, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one in the universe that went through that.
It's very hard to talk about, and I don't want to get into details and people and anything like that, but I think that that's what, this has started a conversation about, is that, when you can say Me Too, then people don't feel so alone. And like you say, I think my situation totally different than what you're talking about. But I also think that it's important to say this is not a man-hating thing. Mine didn't even involve a man. It's violence, is a...
Violence is violence.
Yeah. And absolutely true. And I think... Go ahead.
So many times whenever they say domestic violence, everybody thinks it's man-on-woman violence, that it can be woman-on-woman, man-on-man, and I just wish people would...
Yeah, and some men have been victims, Again, there is generally a strength difference, that makes that, unequal in many ways. But look, a lot of people are, you're absolutely right, it is universal, gay, straight, male, female, and it's, many of us think this would never happen to us, I mean, and it's... So anyway, honey, thank you for sharing your story, too. Let's go to Anita in San Antonio real quick. Hey, Anita.
Hey, good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
I don't know how President Obama could go to Congress for authorization. He tried that last year with Syria.
That's what I was saying to Michael, right? Yeah.
And they never did.
They won't stand with him on anything, Anita. They won't stand with him even when it concerns America's national security. I mean, it just, I've just never seen a time like this in our history. Have you?
No, and exactly. We can't trust them to do anything that would not be beneficial to themselves, to the Republican Party. That's all they think about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's about the country and the benefit of the country. It's all about getting it, not letting President Obama look good or look strong or whatever it is.
Right, particularly right before the midterms, right? I mean, this is what scares me, is this is really serious stuff. And I was just reading all these tweets with them criticizing him, sometimes on totally unrelated issues during the speech. It's 15 minutes. Pay attention, right?
Yeah, I know. This will continue. I mean, I've even heard talk of Benghazi again.
Oh, yeah. No, somebody tweeted, a Republican tweeted about Benghazi while he's talking about what to do about ISIS.
Yeah, Brett Baer's show on Fox News yesterday was, the first 15 minutes of it was Benghazi coverage.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 46 minutes after the hour, we roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Like being stung by...
It is the Stephanie Miller Show.
It takes two to make a thing go right.
Right? I know it.
It takes two to make it out of sight.
I wouldn't know. 51 minutes after the hour, 1-800-STEP-12. The phone number, Nurse Jackie on her way in. Jackie Scheckner, journalist, healthcare expert extraordinaire, live in the studio.
Hey.
Greg in New York. Hello, Greg.
Hey, just a quick comment on this Obama speech. I think what people tend to forget is that bombing a sovereign country that actually has a democratically elected government that I believe Carter signed off on as free and fair elections, and I'm talking about Syria, that is a war crime.
Well, we'd have to first go back and put Bush and Cheney in the Hague. Let's start with the original war crimes that got us into all this.
Oh.
All right, let's not go back.
That as well.
Let's not go back. Yeah, let's move forward.
No. I mean, I understand what you're saying. That as well, correct?
Speak about the current speech and what he's planning to do. And beyond the criminal factor. And
so you're defending Assad then?
I'm talking about Assad, who won a democratic election, even though we tried to
foment.
We tried to destroy the election. He won a democratically elected government.
Right. So what should we do?
Number two, we tried bombing a solution in Libya, and we created a disaster. And we killed people. We did. We flew UN sorties or NATO sorties in Libya.
So what? Okay. So what do we do? What would you do? What would you do about ISIS in Syria then?
Well, number one, I would not go in there. Number one, ISIS is no direct threat to us right now, and we.
They killed 2 of our people.
Pardon me?
They killed 2 of our people in the most brutal way.
They did. You're right.
Yeah. So why? So they're not a threat to Americans, even though they killed 2 of them.
Do you realize how many innocent women and children we have killed in the Middle East with our bombing in the last?
That's true too.
Yes, that is true. Absolutely.
Of thousands, and
thanks to a war that Bush and Cheney lied us into.
No, I'm sorry. Obama has also done that by bombing Libya. He killed innocent women and children too. And if he goes in there and bombs,
you're going to compare that to the Iraq War.
Bombing doesn't mean it's going to be. Bombing is going to kill innocent women and children.
Yes, that is true.
Unfortunately, yes.
So the answer here, they beheaded 2 people. I agree, but the answer is not to go in and continue killing innocent women and children. It didn't work in Iraq.
But you said that ISIS was not a direct threat to Americans.
Should we not have gone into Afghanistan after 9/11?
What's that got to do with ISIS right now?
Because I guess you're talking about when you think it's correct or not to go after people who have harmed Americans.
And all of this is related.
All right, he's giving me a headache.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we would not be in this mess if we hadn't gone into Iraq in the first place.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So I just could do without advice from people that got us into the original thing that created the thing that's happening now. Okay. Secretary of State John Kerry said the U.S. will stand by the Iraqis as they deal with the threat of ISIS, said the country needs an inclusive central government that can lead Iraqi national forces against Islamic militants. And this was important, he said, because the Iraqis can't rely on U.S. airstrikes against ISIS alone. He said this is a fight the Iraqi people must win. It's also a fight the rest of the world needs to win with them. He said he was encouraged during his meetings with Iraq's new government leaders at how willing they seem to govern in a more inclusive manner than in the past. Here he is.
This is a fight that the Iraqi people must win, but it's also a fight that the rest of the world needs to win with them.
Yeah, because that's part of his retraining them. Because that's what a mess. What a mess. We wouldn't be in this
huge mess
to start with if we hadn't. Okay, let's go to Donald in Illinois. You're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Don.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Yeah, I was looking at the president. I wish he would get Congress involved. It's about time they put their foot into something. This way, if things don't go wrong, they can't hammer him over the head saying, well, you never got our approval and everything else. He puts the club right in their hands instead of putting it right in their ball court.
Donald, one Republican, I think, by accident, said the truth out loud. That's what they said. We don't want to do anything because then if it goes wrong, we can say what he did. If it goes right, we can just say, oh, well, yeah, it's fine, but he didn't do it fast enough, or whatever. It's like what they always do, right?
Yeah, that's what they do, but I'm afraid if this is what, no matter what this president does, he's going to get nailed for it. And as far as Assad is concerned, I think they should actually try to team up with him. Now, you might say, well, we should depose him, but we deposed Saddam Hussein. How well did that work out for us?
Right.
The way I feel about it, and I'm going to sound kind of cold, is I don't give a damn what happens to these people. Let them kill each other off. Who cares? But the thing is they don't seem to be worry enough to go ahead and fight these individuals that will kill their own families and everything else. And the reason why they don't feel threatened, they got us to do that. And the reason why ISIS got so much land is there was no opposition really over there to stop them. And this is what bothers me about this whole thing.
Yeah. By the by, in case you're wondering if the environment is different, I just thought this was just one more little story. A few of New York's elite golf clubs wouldn't let President Obama play over Labor Day because they didn't want to inconvenience their high-paying members. He was there attending a wedding, wanted to get in a round of golf. Trump National Golf Club. Oh, interesting. Winged Foot and Willow Ridge were some of the exclusive golf communities that snubbed the president. I may post this piece, by the way. A Canadian wrote a piece about their view of the disrespect toward President Obama from,
Yeah, but would these golf courses have lost a lot of money in greens fees just to let one person play?
One person that happens to be the president of the United States.
Right, but they are running.
If he wants to be a caddy like Will Smith in that movie.
No. They are running a business here, and they can't just shut down all of their revenue just to let the president play. I can see the reasoning there.
Greg in Florida.
And I don't think it's just race.
Greg in Florida, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. More importantly, what was the name of that movie where Will Smith played
The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, good movie. So what strikes me is that what seems to be a consensus, even among the Republicans, is that he essentially has the policy right, counterterrorism versus a boots-on-the-ground military action, and really that was, to me, the point of his speech. And when he was referring to Yemen and Somalia, what he was simply saying is that counterterrorism worked against them, and it'll work against ISIS, albeit on a larger scale. And what really strikes me is how the rules have changed with this president compared to prior presidents. We're embarking on a major action here. And
right.
This is the time when the country is supposed to rally around the president.
Supposed to? That's the kicker. All right, Jackie Schechner next on the Stephanie Miller Show. Should have talked to Congressman Schiff about getting a turn signal down there, not the pothole. Jackie Schechner has tweeted that she's stuck at the light. That's a gym excuse, the light. All right.
Well,
she'll be here
apparently
shortly.
the light's a problem.
I guess so. I will
need to
get
talk
on
to
that.
Schiff.
All right. I will get on. Let's get on that with my congressman. ISIS, whatever.
Whatever.
Let's talk about a left turn signal. All right, 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. Oh, love letter before we Jackie on her way in. Because it's our 10th anniversary of the Stephanie Miller Show this week. It was actually Sunday. Nori, dear Steph, Jim, Chris, etc., etc. I've been listening since 2005, so almost the whole 10 years. My brother's a fan, too. We attended your Sexy Liberal shows in Phoenix, both of them. We have the podcast. I re-up my satellite TV package to get Free Speech TV, record the show every day. My brother and I also donate to your fund drives, as raving liberals will win it for the long term with the big show.
Awesome.
Steph, you are right about everything. I know. Love Nori and Brother Bill. Thank you, Nori. Thank you, Bill. I love you, too. Are you right? I am right about everything.
It's Schechner again. The drums, she'll be twirling.
What are the chances of being no left turn signal to get to a liberal show? It's just a good morning, Jackie.
By the way,
Schechner.
you look hot today.
Yeah.
That dress looks really spectacular.
Waka, waka.
You're going to have to stand up and do a twirl later.
What's going on? Why are we wearing a dress? What's happening?
You got an interview?
Date, job interview? What's happening?
I just like to feel pretty sometimes.
Where did you get that accent? Anyway, you look hot, hot, hot.
Thank you.
Wow. Where do we start this morning?
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
I wish there were some news to talk about.
I know,
Right? Exactly. What did you think of the speech, first of all?
Oh, gosh. You know, it's hard because, there's a lot of things that he said that didn't we go into Iraq to train the Iraqi army? I mean,
Yes.
wasn't that the whole point?
Yes.
Right? So now we're sending troops back in to retrain and advise and
yes.
So
that's why I think it's more important what Dick Cheney thinks.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything the president could have said at this point. To me, you have to do what we have to do, and I would assume that the president and those in the intelligence community have the information they need to have. We don't know everything, and we have to. That's why we elect him, right? We have to trust him, and we have to trust the decisions that he makes. But I am skeptical about the idea that now we have to send more troops back in to do the job that we were unable to do.
Yeah.
That worries me.
Yeah, I think it's a little disingenuous for him to say we're not sending troops, not sending boots on the ground, but we're sending troops to be on the ground there.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not the same as I think the original Iraq invasion.
It's Clinton twisty.
Here's my point.
It is a little
Dick
twisty.
Cheney.
Yeah.
Dick Cheney, for the guy whose watch 9/11 happened on, to be lecturing the guy who got Bin Laden. Right, who killed Bin Laden without starting an unnecessary war based on lies. It's just, I think the whole debate, to start blaming the president for ISIS, ISIS exists because we went to Iraq.
Well, I don't think anybody's blaming the president for ISIS existence.
Cheney is. And McCain is. They're all saying, because he, let the army leave, which was the status enforcement agreement that Bush and Cheney signed.
Right.
But for them to blame him, because he took troops out, or because, who knows? I can't even keep track of why.
I don't know what the answer is, right? Because we are a war-weary nation at this point, and I think if we continued to leave forces in Iraq, we would have long overstayed. We weren't welcome in the first place.
We were told to get out. Yeah.
So we would have long overstayed that welcome. But I don't know what the answer is militarily, because we went in there to train them to stand up for themselves, and then they've been rolled over so quickly, and they're unable to defend their country. So I don't know what you do. I mean, I don't know that we did an insufficient job, because that's not a fair thing to say, and I certainly have an incredible respect for our military.
It was the Iraqi military that scattered when ISIS came in, and so
right.
And this is what John Kerry said, is ultimately they're going to have to stand up to them. We can't do it, we can't do it just with airstrikes. But
absolutely.
I love this, what Cheney said. He said, so often President Obama responds to crises by announcing all the things he will not do. Well, one of them was not start a dumb war based on lies. So
I can get behind that.
Yeah. Anyway, I was saying what Harry Reid said. Dick Cheney is more responsible than anyone else for the worst foreign policy decision in the history of the country, which,
Yeah, I mean, I'll argue that I don't think that we need to go back to Wolfowitz and Cheney and Bush or any of their advisors
need to retire.
at this point. Yeah, let's stop giving a bleep what they think.
Thank you. Because normally you just blurt out.
I do. I censored myself on the fly.
You know what, though? People still pay them for speeches, and people still ask them to be on Sunday morning talk shows.
Isn't that amazing? I feel the same way about McCain. I don't really care at this point.
Yeah. Oh my God! Did you see him just talking over Jay Carney?
That was awful.
Oh my God.
That was awful. I just, he acts like he's got information that nobody else has. I'm gonna say the president knows more than he does at this point.
Exactly, and as I've said, if we wanted a hothead that would get us into every war,
we would have voted for him.
We would have voted for you, Grampy. Thanks for checking in again, though. All right, so the other big story, obviously, is the Ray Rice situation, and what the? So somebody's lying, and it seems like it must be the NFL. So
I mean, I cannot imagine that they didn't have. If they, first of all, I mean, it seems like they had the tape. Somebody had the tape. Yeah. And it seems to me, if you see that incident, and I was one of these people that didn't really follow it until this new information came out, right? But if you see the man dragging the woman out of the elevator, at what point do you say, I'd like to see if there's surveillance tape from within that elevator? And I'm going to imagine that any hotel in Atlantic City has that available, right? So
any casino in Atlantic City
has that available,
filled with cameras. Yeah.
So who said, "Oh, we don't have the first half of that"? I mean, it just to me, it's a logical ask right off the bat.
Well, according to the AP, somebody did get it at the NFL. They have the voice message with a woman saying, "We got it. You're right. It's terrible," which would imply that she watched it. Somebody had it. So now if they're going to say, "Oh well," so what? She would just not give it to anybody or tell anybody else at the NFL, including the commissioner? That
it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. And it looks like it came. It looks like it came from law enforcement, right? So it seems like it was all pushed under the rug intentionally. Yeah. And if that's the case, then we've got an inherent problem there that they didn't consider it important enough to dig into, or they didn't want to face it.
That's what it seems like. They didn't want to face it. They didn't want to lose the buckets of money they were getting from Ray Rice.
Chris Cluey tweeted about it. He said, 2 NFL owners are overseeing the investigation. No conflict of interest there. The Baltimore Ravens owner said Tuesday the team let you down in its investigation, blah, blah, blah. He said, we halted our fact-finding in March and stopped seeking the video of, the surveillance video. He said the decision to let Ray Rice go was unanimous. He's talking about the meeting after. Seeing that video changed everything. We should have seen it earlier. We should have pursued our own investigation more vigorously. We didn't, and we were wrong. I mean, so now they've brought in former FBI Director Robert Mueller, to see what went wrong.
Yeah,
but
the NFL hired Robert Mueller.
Right. So, I mean, this whole thing, to me, continues to be suspect in terms of, did we handle it right? No, obviously you didn't. Right. But it seems like pretty deliberate that you didn't want to see it or you didn't. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see where if you only saw the tail end of that, where he was bringing her out of the elevator while he handled her like a piece of meat or a thing.
But what I said yesterday, Jackie, proved true in this latest story is because Chris and I were going why are those guys just all standing around? He's just talking like they're all. Because he said, she's drunk.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That would be your assumption, is that they were in Atlantic City, they were drinking.
Exactly.
She was fall down drunk.
I've seen people fall down drunk in Vegas. It happens a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're sloppy and they hurt themselves. Yeah. I mean, how many people do you know along the way are like, I don't know how I hurt myself? And they wake up in the morning and they're bruised or something.
Stephanie's like that every morning when I find her.
I am not.
Right. I mean, that happens.
Tim Ward once got in a fight with a coffee table. Remember he came.
That's right. With a black eye and.
Right, but I'm thinking, like, I mean, he hit her hard, so there had to be some sort of bruising or swelling or...
Well, we were saying it took a woman in that video to come over and pick her head up and go, are you okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that I think is what everybody's saying is the casualness and disrespect he showed her even after the punch.
Well, he wasn't handling her like someone who was concerned about her safety
right.
and
like,
well-being.
oh my God, what did I just do? Are you okay?
Yeah,
You know?
and there is that moment. I've been thinking about this a lot because, when you first watch the video, she kind of backhands him. And
before
they get in the elevator, right? They were fighting.
Right.
They said she spit on him and whatever it was. And I was thinking
this story says that he spit on her.
Oh,
is what
really?
the video actually showed, and that when she once outside the elevator, once in the elevator, and then she sort of lunged toward him.
Right,
and that's when he hit
he
her.
knocked her out. And the more I think about this, it's like, men know how, and especially men who are that large know how strong they are, and there's no way that he couldn't have just held her.
He knows exactly how strong he is. That's part of his job to know.
And again, I know we're speculating here, but a lot of people have said what we said is that the casualness with which he did it just seems like, A, he seems to me like he's done this before, and B, I mean, the way he reacts, as you go, is it a one-time horrible mistake, like she sort of implied it was, and oh my God, you don't want to judge someone on something like that, but you go, the way he did it and the way he reacted seemed like this was no big deal to him. Didn't even think, oh, gee, I wonder if I killed her.
Well, that was the part, right? She falls, she hits her head, she's out cold.
She hits her head on the railing inside the elevator.
She's out cold, and there's no like, oh my gosh, what did I do? There's none of that moment. I know, granted, he says he was wasted, and all of this, or they were
not
both really drunk. Oh, no, don't even. Right. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, even in that moment, if this is the woman you love, if this is going to be your wife, if this is going to be the mother of your children, whatever this is, I mean, somebody.
She already was, and that's reportedly the first thing she said when she came to is, how could you do this to me? I'm the mother of your child.
Oh, they already had kids?
Yes. They've already they have one kid, one baby.
And he said what? She's an angel, she can do no wrong. When they were talking about how she wasn't responsible, he was saying she wasn't responsible. It's tragic. It's really horrible.
That's what we were talking about. Everybody's been saying about the re-victimization when they had to have this press conference where she apologizes for her role in the incident.
Well, that in and of itself is the problem, right? I mean, they tweeted out she apologizes for her role in the. I mean,
she apologized for getting her face in the way of his fist.
Yeah, that part was so disturbing rather. I can't wrap my brain around why that was allowed. I mean, I understand.
And it was also disruptive of my mental health.
Yeah.
I'm just going to save that for you.
Yeah, I don't understand who in the Ravens organization thought that was inappropriate.
But for all of us, that's easy to see. For her inside that relationship, it's not as easy to say. She can't see the forest for the trees. She's in the middle of the relationship.
Of course, and I think that we all understand at this point that when you're in the midst of a relationship like that, there are a lot of factors that come into play.
Yeah.
And you say, like, gosh, why don't you leave immediately, or why don't the minute somebody...
That's what it started a conversation about, which we will continue after the break.
Sure.
Jackie Schechner live in studio, 18 minutes after the hour. This hour of the Stephanie Miller Show, brought to you by LifeLock. By the way, Chris, you know this. I have been the victim of identity theft, and if you ever have, it is a nightmare.
It is.
It can take a long time to undo everything. No one can stop all identity theft. Identity thieves are smart. They're experts at what they do. It happened to me back in the horse-drawn days. Now, everybody's gone high-tech. Everything about us, even our bank records, is connected, stored on a cloud. All it takes is one hack, one breach. Thieves can have everything they need to take over your life. This is why I have LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Yes, LifeLock's best just got better. LifeLock Ultimate Plus is the most comprehensive identity theft protection available. Helps protect your identity, your bank, retirement accounts, credit cards, even the equity in your home. How many other ID theft protection services do that? Zero. I will tell you, zero. It's the only one. Why risk it? Do what I did. Get LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Sleep easier knowing if thieves goes after your identity or life savings. Bam! LifeLock is on it.
On it.
Visit lifelock.com or use promo code Miller10 for my special 10% discount. That's promo code Miller10 to get my special 10% discount. Or call 800-499-1070, 800-499-1070. That's 800-499-1070. Network does not cover all transactions. 19 minutes after the hour. Right back with Jackie Schechner. This is the Stephanie Miller Show. Journalist, healthcare expert extraordinaire, Jackie Schechner live. Wearing maximum hotness.
I know.
Wearing a very
love
clingy
that.
black dress.
Thank you.
Wow.
If you're not watching on Free Speech TV.
I like to get fancied up every once in a while.
I think I've gone to questioning.
And she affects a southern accent when she
I know,
she gets all
I know.
tarted,
She gets
up.
all frilly.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know why.
Twirl your
Because I
hair.
feel all delicate and southern now.
You are from the South.
No, Florida doesn't count. does it?
Florida.
Down until Orlando. It
Right.
counts, yeah.
I love everyone's like, ugh, Florida.
Florida. WTF. All right, 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number. Michael in Fort Lauderdale.
Wow.
Speaking of.
WTF in Florida, Michael.
Hi. How are
Hi,
you?
go ahead.
Morning.
Good.
I wanted to respond to the gentleman that said that Assad was democratically elected.
Uh-huh.
If inheriting the presidency from your dad,
Like George Bush did?
I guess Kim Jong-un is democratically elected too, because that's what happened. There's no democracy in Syria.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Did they just make the stuff up before they call? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Well, as I often say, it is a tennis ball machine full of bull, so it's hard to catch every single one.
Yeah, well, they're small business owners.
Right.
You know, what is the...
they just like to listen to
the
both
mantra.
sides.
Yeah, I was actually listening on the way in, and I like when people are critical but then have no other option.
Right,
Or
which
no
is
other,
why I always say, what would you do?
What would you
then?
do? Yeah, there's no answer to that.
Right.
Mr. Expert Man.
Yeah, there's no answer. And I don't know what you do, right? Because if the president didn't say that we had some sort of military action in the works, then people would say he was soft on defense. And now they're critical of what it is he says he wants to do. So, although I have seen some Republicans come out and say that they're supportive of the president and his choices. Something interesting did come up, though, this morning. Was on CNN, and Carol Costello was talking to a woman who lost her husband on 9/11. And they were talking now about the current threat of ISIS. And she was saying that what they're pushing for is the disclosure of where the money came from to finance 9/11. And apparently there's some documentation that's never been revealed as to where the money came from. And then talking about cutting off funding to ISIS and that being, and obviously a lot of the money comes from illegal channels and through crime. So it's not like all of it's being funded.
But also some of it comes from Saudi Arabia.
Well, that's right. So,
which is an ally.
Right, exactly. So the question... Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's time to dig a little bit deeper. I mean, it was a fascinating angle that I hadn't really thought about, that maybe it's time to dig a little bit deeper into following the money and seeing where it's coming from, other than the illegal activity. But there is obviously some state-based funding in there somewhere.
Right. And by the way, it is the anniversary today of it is September 11th today, and that's all I was just saying. I have never understood for the life of me, Jackie, how, when you see Dick Cheney popping up, why, for some reason, do they think they have so much credibility on national security when the worst national security failure ever happened on his watch?
Yeah, well, people forget that, right? That this happened, there was some forewarning about the threat of Al-Qaeda, and it was ignored.
And everybody says, what do you think would happen if it happened today? Do you think they would stand behind President Obama?
Oh, gosh, no. No, they would blame him from top to bottom. But I do think it's interesting how people forget that it did happen on his watch, that as much as they say he was strong in the aftermath, I was there. I was in New York.
Yeah,
I don't know that standing on a pile of rubble with a flag makes you strong. I don't know. I mean, to me, it was, we have to pay attention to what happened and the fact that it happened while he was president, and that there was warning that was ignored, and everything that subsequently happened after that.
A lot of warnings.
Yeah.
A lot of warnings.
And everything that happened after that was a disaster in terms of, starting a war we didn't need to start and going after the people who actually perpetrated the crime. And
right. Then to go, oh, look what the president, look what Obama did. Look how he created ISIS. It's like, oh my God, where do I even start with that?
I just saw who put it up. It was great. It was something about Cheney giving a speech and Wolfowitz was in the audience, and they're like, is he like his AA sponsor?
Yeah.
They can go to these meetings together.
I can't even listen to that guy just because all I can picture is him licking his comb.
Oh gosh.
Remember licking his comb and like that.
Well, on a satellite tour in between hits.
Well, that was Edwards with not with the licking the comb, but that was also getting his.
One of my
hair
listeners tweeted that after the last time he spoke on TV. Oh, shut up, you comb licker. Back with more Jackie Schechner on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Oh, you need more Chardonnay and better Chardonnay.
It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. We were just plotting and planning during the break. The big Stephanie Miller Show surprise.
Yeah.
Yes. that's going to be very exciting. Jackie Scheckner will be involved.
Yep.
We drag her into everything with
Do
us.
I have to get naked? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And drunk.
Okay. Drunk I can do. Well, then drunk, then naked. All right, whatever. We all know it's coming.
All right, 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. By the way, did you see this headline? GOP's Obamacare nightmare is coming true. It's working.
Yeah.
Bad news. Bad news.
Horrible news.
Yeah. Right. I love this. For Republicans, the Obamacare reckoning has arrived sooner than expected. The politics of the health care law have undergone a sea change since its rollout. Many conservative operatives, of course, salivating at the prospect of the GOP wave in the midterm elections due to an Obamacare train wreck. As they say, but the train never wrecked. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and not only that, it's adding cars, right? There's more and more Republican legislators and legislators who are coming around to expanding Medicaid and finding workarounds to be able to say, okay, we'll take the money, but we want to try a private solution, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal, but there's ways to get people coverage, and that's what they're trying to do.
Everything they've said, not true, is surpassed the sign-up goal, right, is provided coverage to 8 million people on the exchanges, 7 million under the Medicaid extension, 5 million who bought insurance outside the exchanges but benefit from the new regulations, pre-existing conditions, all the stuff we talked about. Even Republicans in deeply conservative states are suggesting that the popular new benefits cannot be taken away, which is exactly what we talked about that they were going to be afraid of. You know, it's like, really? You're going to run on taking this away from people?
I was going to say, how do you do that? How do you say it's a disaster, now give us back everything that you just gained?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Premiums, obviously, that whole fear-mongering didn't come true. They're, even declining in some states. Not the huge double-digit increases they talked about.
Well, that's the thing that people need to remember, too, is that health insurance rates go up every year. They just do by default.
I remember that.
Every year they go up, and this is going to be a year where in some states they go down, the ones on the exchange go down, or when they do increase, because they likely will, it's going to be very small increases in comparison to what it's been in the past. So you may hear some detractors say, oh, look, rates are going up, but they've always gone up. It's just a matter of now they're going to be going up at a slower rate and smaller incremental increases, which is good. And, it comes down to a lot of different factors, too. There are some exchanges, like here in California, where they have the power to negotiate rates. So that's helped bringing it down. I think the insurance company competition against each other is going to help bring it down. I'd love to see a public option in the mix, obviously, that would do an even better job. But let's not discount the work that's already been done and just appreciate that, as I always say, there will be more work to do along the way.
How do you think it's going to affect midterms? Because obviously we're seeing all these same polls. Republicans have the edge, which is just so confounding to me on so many levels. Who were we talking to yesterday, Chris? We were saying that on every single issue, the Democrats are way ahead.
Sure.
This right-wing noise machine has done a good job in bringing down the president. And again, when you call it Obamacare, people go, "Oh no, I don't like that."
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that come midterm time, two things happen. One is that healthcare isn't a primary issue because now that it is implemented and working, people won't pay as much attention to it as an electoral issue. I think I'm hoping.
Right.
Because it's not first and foremost right now. And the second thing that I'm hoping is that, I hope this, that Democrats vote. Please vote.
Yeah, please vote.
Yeah. I mean, we have so much power if we actually exercise it. Just vote. I mean, the reason why you end up getting this turnover and such in favor of the Republicans is that they have a great turnout machine of their base. Like they can instill enough fear to get their base to turn out. And the turnout numbers are so low across the country that the threshold isn't that high. So if you just take the time to go out and vote, we can stem off any sort of turnover in Congress or in the Senate and actually kind of keep things on the right track.
And one of the things, I don't know if you feel, but I sort of feel as a woman is just this, when you talk about like the last cycle, we talked about the rapey Republicans, all the guys saying like
they love to talk about rape, don't they?
Right, but I mean, you look at, like, we've been talking about the Ray Rice story and the fact that it's Republicans that voted against the Violence Against Women Act.
Sure.
They cut the funding for, these domestic violence hotline, in the sequester. I mean,
yes, and Fox thinks you should take the stairs.
Yes. Right. That's the actual message.
Thanks, Brian Kilmeade.
Right.
Yeah.
But
because domestic violence is hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this Wendy Davis thing, who I just think is amazing. Conservatives predictably shame Wendy Davis for sharing her personal abortion story. And, the reason she did that amazing filibuster and obviously feels passionately, clearly is because of her personal stories in addition to how she feels about the issue. And, of course, like clockwork, they basically called her a liar. I mean, I don't know if you saw this. Anyway, she's running for governor of Texas, obviously. She revealed in her new memoir that she once made the difficult decision to end a pregnancy because that she and her husband very much wanted. Some conservatives have cast doubt on the truth of her story and her motivations for telling it. I just don't think this is going to play well with women. The right-leaning National Review called her story convenient and unverifiable. She wrote in her memoir that she had also terminated a different pregnancy because it was ectopic, which is obviously life-threatening to the mother. Republican strategist accused the campaign of using her story to promote abortion, a move he called sickening and subhuman. He later apologized for using the word subhuman and deleted the original tweet. But Davis, the decision to end the pregnancy, apparently a painful memory for her family before she announced her campaign for governor. When Davis's father died in September 2013, his obituary was named Tate Elise, Davis's deceased daughter, as one of his relatives. Davis explained in her memoir that she made the difficult decision after the doctor told her the fetus had developed a severe brain abnormality that was causing her to suffer in the womb. She wrote that she and her husband named and baptized and mourned Tate Elise after the C-section. So, at any rate, she was, I don't know if you saw that she was on Rachel Maddow, and Rachel asked her to respond to the suggestion that she's lying or exaggerating her personal story. She said, my family would give anything for this not to be a true story in our lives. We would give anything for that. But, I mean, once again, they have no shame.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's an incredible thing to accuse somebody of manipulating. There is no point in a woman's life where having to make that decision is something that you want to brag about, let alone, I mean, it's a very difficult thing to share.
Yeah.
And that's a shame too, because I think that if it weren't so shameful or feels so shameful to talk about it, you would discover just how many women have had to have one.
Well, Cecile Richards of Planned Parenthood said that. She said she's grateful to Davis for shining a light on a subject that's too often hidden in the shadows of shame and stigma. It's like this conversation about domestic violence. I mean, I've shared my story, and it's not easy, and I've never talked about it before.
But this was the first time that you've talked about it?
Yes, yes.
Wow. It's incredibly brave to do that. And kudos to Davis for feeling compelled to share it. And hopefully it's going to take a long time to take that feeling of shame and stigma off of it. And I don't think it's something that we're going to be comfortable with for a long time.
It's an obviously very personal, but I mean, it's a very compelling reason why she believes women should have a right to choose for all sorts of different reasons that are private and should be between you and your doctor.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how it's primarily men who want to dictate what it is you can and can't do with your own body. So
if this is how ridiculous this issue has gotten. Did you hear this story? A Pennsylvania woman has been sentenced to up to 18 months in prison for obtaining so-called abortion pills online and providing them to her teenage daughter to end her pregnancy. She's a single mother.
I did see that headline, actually.
Yeah, who works as a nursing home aide. She pled guilty to obtaining the miscarriage-inducing pills online for her daughter, who did not want to have the child. She's 18 months in prison for giving her own daughter,
Why was she not going to a doctor?
For violating a state law that requires abortions to be performed by physicians. Whalen told authorities there was no local clinic available to perform an abortion, and her daughter did not have health insurance to cover a hospital abortion.
But see, therein lies the problem, right? We should have access to affordable health care.
But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying in some states, there are, one clinic? This is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this...
Bless you.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, you're
unavailable to women.
Right, you're criminalizing something that should be available. So, I mean, at least she could have it's like the back alley abortion, right? I mean, so she could go see it.
That's the modern equivalent of it.
Right. So she can go see a doctor, so she can get an evaluation, so she can have a conversation with the doctor about safe sex and pregnancy.
Oh, that's probably for me. I forgot to turn the ringer off.
Did you order a pizza? What happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I ordered 7 large pizzas.
Oh, good.
This is the beginning of a porn movie. Did you order a pizza?
Well, hello, pizza man. That's why Jackie wore the clingy black dress this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say. This getting naked thing is happening a lot earlier than we expected.
And the phone does not stop ringing, so...
Oh, it just... It doesn't go to voicemail or something?
It did now.
No, it did not. Okay, do you have an old school answering machine?
I don't think I know how to set it up. That's the problem.
Travis says it's the underwear model with your wine.
Oh,
awesome. Good news. Nice.
Thank you for ordering that.
You're welcome. Let's take a quick one here.
No, they're her kind of underwear models, not your
not
kind.
mine.
Yeah, sorry.
Mark in Orlando for Jackie. Jackie, it's for you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie.
Yes.
Well, this question is going to pale in comparison to the conversation, but I just wanted to know about why corporations really didn't get behind single payer when it was first discussed. I work for a fairly large company. Our bosses tell us that they spend $8,000 per employee for healthcare costs, which I believe, but that's got to be, millions of dollars. Why, when this was first discussed, why didn't companies like GM and U.S. Steel and all these companies that spend millions of dollars on health care
that's a good
behind
question.
a single-payer program?
It's a great question. And you would think that corporations would be behind not only finding a less expensive solution, but also uncoupling benefits from their corporate responsibility. I think the easy answer is that it's a heavy lift all around. I mean, unfortunately, we have such entrenched special interests in our medical industrial complex that I don't know why. I mean, it would seem like a logical step, but I just think that these corporations are so intertwined that if you start to eliminate the insurance industry, you start to eliminate some of these private corporations that use our health care for profit, you start to think about the financial ramifications within the larger structure. And it's a very difficult thing for people to wrap their brains around, especially these corporations. I would love to see it be one of these situations where we just revamp the system and get into a Medicare for all, a single-payer type system where everybody has access to good quality health care, and you don't have to rely on your job for access. Well, you don't now, I guess, but people are still within these group plans that have really strong benefits. But maybe down the line, it's a political reality is really the easy answer. It's just very hard to do. I mean, look at what opposition we got to what we accomplished. Right? I mean, every step of the way it was a huge fight, and even after the law was passed, it was a huge fight.
Yeah, well, the president said that early on, single payer would be ideal, but, even he knew
and he got
political
slammed
realities.
for that.
Yeah.
So even just saying, look, that's a great solution. And I didn't know a lot about single payer when I started in the fight. And when we had this coalition, the single payer advocates were very much against us because they said, why come to the table? Why not fight for everything and then compromise?
Yeah.
Like, why come to the table with a compromise? And the conversation we had was, because you're not even going to get off the ground if you start all the way in single payer. Like, you're not even going to get, we had to start with some sort of compromise position to even start the conversation.
Yeah.
Because they were calling it socialized medicine all the way through. So the idea was at least come with something that'll get everybody to the table.
Yeah.
If you come,
we still didn't get even a public comment.
But if you come to the table with single payer, they won't even sit down with you.
Yep, exactly. 47 minutes after the hour. We're sitting down with Jackie Schaffner. Ha. We're close enough to touch the clingy black dress. Right back.
Underwear models next.
Right back.
All right.
Stephanie
Is it
Michelle.
Devo, yes.
Devo. Oh, did I tell you about I went to the Yes concert?
No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
No. I'm sorry. Yes?
What?
Computer says no.
What?
Yes?
Computer says yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I did. I went to the Yes concert.
Oh,
a few
they're
weeks
still
back.
around?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
they are.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Computer says yes.
yes, they have a new lead singer, and so it was interesting to see the crowd was a considerably older crowd, very excited. They were obviously huge fans. There was a lot of kind of Woodstockish dancing going on.
Okay.
Kind of, like reliving the glory days feel of, they were very excited to see the band, and they seemed to be appreciative of the new singer as best you could be. But the best part is I didn't recognize any songs. I recognized nothing except
Color of a Lonely Heart.
Well, they played that last, and at that point we were standing outside. We were waiting. My friend was friends with the band, and so we were going to go in and see them afterwards. And so we were kind of standing outside, and we were listening. And he's a drummer, and he said, "Can you hear it sort of at like quarter speed or 3/4 speed?" And I said, yeah, and he goes, because they just can't keep up anymore. And it just wasn't, I mean, you could hear it. It was just a little bit slower than you normally would be used to.
Like they didn't have the stylus in the middle of the record.
It was, that was the only song that I recognized, and it was definitely a little bit slower than
the 45 adapter, not the stylus. The stylus is what you put on the record.
We've been through this argument so many times in 10 years. I don't know what it was.
No, it was great. It was a really fun experience. But,
by the way, speaking of old bands, somebody was making very inappropriate jokes on my Twitter feed yesterday about Joan Rivers cutting off her air supply, but did she choke on bread? There were about 70s things, and it's a horrible, horrible.
Is it I don't know the reference. I don't.
Well,
because they say that they cut off her air supply during
they were doing a biopsy and she got
I mean, it's a horrible story. Right? I was saying because I feel like my dad was the victim of a medical mistake. They were doing an angiogram and they hit a clot going in and it sprayed clots over his body and it caused a stroke and a coma and ultimately his death. And so I don't know, the circumstances, but that what was reported yesterday is that obviously something happened, that her air supply was cut off that she had only agreed to an endoscopy, but then they did an unplanned biopsy on her vocal cords that they shouldn't have done, I guess, A, not at a hospital, and B, without her permission. That was what was reported yesterday. I don't know if that's true. But, and we were saying, speaking of the healthcare system, Jackie, I think it scared people because you're like, Joan Rivers obviously has access to the best, and that can happen to her because she wasn't ill. I mean, I guess she's 81, but
sure. I mean, look, you got to keep in mind that doctors are human beings, and human beings make mistakes, and you put your faith and trust into well-trained professionals all over the world, not just in the United States, but anywhere, and you hope that most of the time things go right, and occasionally things will go wrong.
Every time you go under the knife,
I mean, it's
there's
a
the
risk.
possibility of something
It's a
happening.
risk. And, you wait and see what happens, and, maybe they should go do something that was unauthorized, and then we'll see what happens after that. But let's say this, that she was 81 years old. She had an incredible life. She herself has said, I mean, we've seen recently, she had conversations with Melissa, she had an incredible life. And it's unfortunate and really sad that we lost such a legend and such a brilliant woman.
But but I'm just saying, but if it was a medical mistake, that's,
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean,
she certainly wasn't ready to go, I mean,
who's ever ready to go,
right.
though, really?
I mean, that was, I said to Chris, is that why she's always been an inspiration to me, is just because the woman didn't have quit in her, she had 3 shows, when she died, but I mean, again, like her late night show bombing, her husband killing himself.
You should watch that documentary.
It's an amazing documentary.
It's really good. Yeah, I watched it a while back, and I remember just being really impressed by it, how strong a worker she is. And
as I said, she always said that her own manager told her she was too old and she'd never make it. That being said, I'm too old and I'll never make it, but still, I'm inspired by her. That something.
Where are you trying to go?
I don't know.
Make it where?
I don't know. There's lots of happy big gay news in the news.
Yeah.
Sarah Gilbert has announced she's pregnant.
That's right.
With her wife, Linda Perry.
Oh.
Neil Patrick Harris got married over the week this past weekend.
I thought he was already married.
No, he has kids already.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I just assumed he was already married.
But now he's making an honest man of his husband, and they got married.
They're such a cute.
Did you see how Sarah Gilbert announced that she was pregnant?
On the talk, right?
Yeah, it was Dare Week or Dare Day or something, and someone had dared her to lie on a bed of nails and have someone break a cinder block on her stomach.
What?
And she said, "I can't do that because I haven't told you guys I'm pregnant."
Wow.
And then everybody just got up and just
What kind of dare is that?
It's a weird dare.
Yeah, that doesn't. Hi, let me just knock you unconscious.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that's a boy dare. Nathan, my videographer over there, he's also in my boy bike gang. We were riding bikes once, and there was a giant pile of horse poop, and he goes, "I dare you to ride through that."
Yeah, that's a boy thing.
I'm like, why would I do that?
What's the upside?
Why?
You don't have to have an upside.
I mean, he didn't
Really?
even say.
It's just funny.
He didn't even say for $5 or something. I'm like,
because you would have done it.
Because it'd be funny.
Did it cross your mind to do it?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not a boy.
No.
I don't have a penis. Why would I think that's funny? Okay. Jackie Schechner, you are a delight. How might we follow you? And a lot of people would like to follow you in that clingy black dress.
Oh, I'm on Twitter. At Jackie Schechner.
Yep.
You can go to Facebook, too. It's Jackie Schechner TV. Or you can come to my house and hang out.
Oh, don't put that out there.
Oh, dear.
No.
Oh,
well, you want to know how you can follow me. No? Is that wrong?
Don't.
I have issues.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow with the other whore, May Lee. The other journalist whore of the show, May Lee. All right. See you tomorrow on the Stephanie Miller Show.